everyone, I'm Hannah Clubley, and today I'm so excited to say I'm joined with Bradley Simpson.
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, really well. How are you?
I'm good, thank
Excited for the show tonight?
I am, I'm very excited, it's going to be fun.
So I'm joining Brad ahead of his first night in London on the current tour. So let's get into it. It must have been pretty nerve-wracking, you announcing your solo venture. Tell us how you felt about that and what made now the right time to do it.
Yeah, there was definitely some nerves.
Yeah.
I was a bit, just because the music's so different as well to anything that I've done over the past 10 years. So I kind of didn't know how the fans were going to react, but they've all been so nice. They've been lovely and really supportive. And I think the reason now is just I'd never had a huge yearning to do a solo album before. And then the band has done 5 albums now. So we naturally were starting to take a bit of a pause on writing music because we'd written 5 albums in 6-7 years. So we kind of churned them out. So I think all the 4 of us were like, right, we're just going to take a pause on writing for a bit. And then I started writing a couple of songs and they just felt like they were going to fit into a solo thing rather than pitching out to other artists or within the context of the band.
That's really cool though. And the announcement dropped the other week that your debut solo album, titled The Panic Years, is dropping in February.
Yeah.
How exciting. We've already heard a few singles off the album, but can you tell us about the concept as a whole?
Yeah, I think I'd seen it a couple of times pop up. There was a book called The Panic Years and then there's a couple of things about your 20s and being described as your panic years. And then it just felt really fitting because I was writing a lot on this album about the past 10 years of my life, which have been amazing. But I've been going through my 20s in them and going through my 20s growing up in the band and touring and traveling, so many things whilst growing up and coming out of being 18, 19 into your early 20s. I think it's a weird stage of anyone's life. You're trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do and all of these different things. So a lot of the songs ended up kind of talking about those points in my life. But I'd kind of wanted to... The panic years can sometimes have a slight negative connotation or can instill panic, funnily enough. But I think even the word and the connotation can be quite jarring sometimes. And I think I wanted with the album for it to be a bit more reassuring of even in moments of panic or periods of not knowing what you're doing or where you're going, you come out the other side and you're like, I needed that, or you learned from it, or you learned more about yourself. So I think hopefully they can be reassuring songs to people of being can get through these moments and come out the other end better for it.
I definitely feel like it's something that a lot of your fan base can relate to. I mean, you can see the way people are reacting to the songs already.
It's so cool. And even the album announcement and speaking a bit about the concept of the album, can see a lot of the fans are going through their 20s now, and it's such a strange time in your life. It can be amazing, 100%. It can be, but you have ups and downs, so it's nice to see that it is relating to them.
So reflecting on the album overall, what is one song you were most excited to share, one you were most nervous to share, and one that nearly didn't make the album?
Ooh. I was probably most nervous to share Cry at the Moon, the first single. Because it was the first single and it was also I kind of wanted to start as I meant to go on, and it was a lot more rocky than anything that I'd done. So I was bricking it for that because I just didn't know how people were going to react. And the one that I was most excited, there's a song that no one's heard because I've been playing quite a lot of the songs on this tour. But there's 3 songs that I haven't played yet and no one's heard. So there's a song called Almost, which I'm really excited to hear, for people to hear, because it's just a different vibe to the ones I've been putting out. And then what was the last one?
One that nearly didn't make
Nearly
the album.
didn't. There's a song called Favourite Band.
Yeah, I've heard.
Which is got subbed in, there was a song that was going to be on the album, and then it last minute I was just we held that song back because it might be going out at a later stage. And I wrote Favourite Band probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Wow.
And then it just came back and we finished it literally in a week because there was an album deadline, and I was like, oh, So yeah, that very nearly didn't go on the album.
And what made you release Cry at the Moon as your first single? Because that's such a huge moment. It's like the first thing people are going to see of you as a solo artist. So why was it that song that you chose?
I think Cry at the Moon was like the first one that I wrote and finished, and I was like, this is exactly where I want to go, and like this is the sound that I want to be. And it was kind of is similar to a lot of bands that I'd grown up on, so we were listening to a lot of those bands like Queens of the Stone Age and White Stripes, and that's just the music that I've grown up on and I love. And it sparked the rest of the album, so it was a really like important song. And I think as soon as I finished it, I was like, this is how I want to introduce my music to the world.
Yeah.
And even like in the song, it starts quite, for the first like 45 seconds, it's just acoustic and vocal, and then the drums and everything comes in at about a minute. So even that felt like a bit of a metaphor for the whole project, of it being like maybe not something people would expect. So it felt like the right first thing.
And your most recent release of the album was called Holy Grail, which came out a few weeks ago. Can you tell us about the meaning behind that track and your creative process?
Yeah, it's just a love song, really. It's about like life and the ups and downs of life, and having someone there by your side, and wanting to go through those things with them, and knowing how having someone there with you makes it all a lot easier and kind of makes it all worth it. And looking forward to those moments where, I know it sounds strange to look forward to the moments where you'll be arguing about stuff when you're like 40, but I think that was the sentiment of it being like, this is your person to kind of go through all of those things with.
What song did you find the hardest to write?
There's a song called Almost, which like the last, again, no one's heard yet, but that was quite hard because it was like, it's called the last line is like, you were almost the best thing that happened to me. So it's like that, like near miss kind of thing. Which like the whole album comes from quite a personal space over the past 10 years. So even though it's not like how you're feeling right now, I think I've kind of used it as a chance to go back over like things that I maybe haven't processed that well in the past 10 years. So I think diving back into things, into the same headspace you were in like 7 years ago or however long, it's always tough, but maybe almost. Maybe.
And I want to talk about Daisies as well, because I feel like I saw somewhere that wasn't originally meant to be on the album, or you hadn't shortlisted it as one of the last, and then you trialled it in the March shows the 100 Club, and fans just went crazy for it.
Yeah, that was it. Like it got a really good live reaction, and then by the second night, everyone was kind of vibing away. Yeah. So it wasn't meant to be a single.
Well, that's the one. Meant to be a single,
And then literally off the back of the 100 Club shows, everyone was like, we should just put this out.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to do that as well, because like the album's been written for like, it's been finished for about 6-7 months, so it's nice to be able to just like switch into songs as and when.
Yeah, a bit of creative freedom, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was at one of the 100 Club shows.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and off the back of it, like Daisies was my favourite one. So it's really funny, like knowing that. You wrote some of the album in Paris, I believe, and some in New York as well. Can you talk us through what a day in the studio is like for you? Do you have a set routine? Is there anything you do to like get your creativity flowing?
Oh God, there's not like 2 hours of yoga or anything in the morning. It's nothing too weird. Honestly, I'm like, I can't do anything pre 12 o'clock. Like I really struggle to do. I could barely sing before 12 o'clock. Like it's so bad. So usually it'd be a late start. Like we'd end up starting at like 1 o'clock. And then just like a lot of it, because I was in different cities than I live in or like I typically work in. I had like no mates, which was the best thing ever, genuinely, because there was no one who could be like, do you want to go to the pub? And I couldn't cut out the studio early, or I couldn't like get distracted. So I think a lot of the nights when I was going home after the studio or the mornings before, I'd kind of start ideas, and because I wasn't around anyone that was either a distraction or I could have a conversation with that wasn't me thinking about the album, it meant that I just could really think about what I wanted to say and what I wanted to write about. So it's a lot of just like stewing on things.
And do you have a pre-show ritual?
We do. So the other guys in the band are James Atwood, who plays guitar and bass, and Ellen Acosta, who plays drums. And they're amazing, by the way. Like, they're the best. And we wanted one. We were like, but we didn't want like a go. So we just do. It's like a 3-way clap.
Oh, cool.
But it took a while to like actually nail it.
Yeah.
Like, someone showed us it, and then literally for about the first 6 shows, we were just slapping each other in the face or trying to do it. But now we've got it down.
And how about a typical day on tour? So when you're on the road, what does a day on tour look like for you?
It depends, really. Like, days off are very, very, again, a lot of sleeping happens. Yeah. But I've tried to be a bit more like, and I found this in the band as well. I think I'd come home after like a long tour, and my mates would be like, "Oh, how was Paris? How was Amsterdam?" And I'd be like, "I don't know," because I just like stayed in the hotel, did a gig, and then went back.
Yeah.
So I've tried to be a bit more like, get out and go and find some good food, or go and find like even like some vintage shops or something, and go and do some shopping. So trying to like explore the cities more. We went to a football game in Paris last time we were there, which was really fun. And then show days, it's like, try not to speak too much. a lot of ginger teas.
Yeah. Moving on to something a little bit different now. What is the strangest place you've ever heard your music being played? Is there anywhere unusual?
It's the strangest place. I feel like I've definitely heard it in a toilet at some point. You know what? The weirdest time is when it's like I'd go home and I'd go to the gym. And I'd hear it in the gym. I feel like this is so weird, because this is like the place that I'd always go and it'd switch off, and then I'd be wailing over the stereo. Like,
Not again.
Not again. Shut up.
And what artists would you most like to collab with?
I'd love to work with Pharrell, just because I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think he's really good at like getting the best out of artists that he works with. Who else? I'm really like Maggie Rogers. I love Maggie Rogers. I think she's really good. It'd be fun to write with her.
And are you going to release any more new music before the album drops? I know we've heard quite a few singles, but is that all we're getting until February now? Or?
Well, I can't say. But we do have like a good few months before the album comes out, so maybe. Fingers crossed. Who knows?
And so you're touring at the minute, but the Panic Years tour for April and May next year. Is there anything you can share with us about that tour? Is it all under wraps as well?
I haven't even started thinking, honestly, because like we were saying the other day, I've put a tour on sale whilst I'm on tour. Yeah. So there's a lot like going on, but I really like to I build the tours myself, so I do all the like music for it and the MDing at home. So I think I'm just like trying not to think too much about it now, but I definitely know like I'm even picking stuff up from these shows that I'm like, that would work, that wouldn't work. And we've changed a couple of things throughout this tour, just extending sections, or just because you get a really good tell off the crowd what works and what doesn't. So this tour's been really good for that. Yeah. But I just want it to be like bigger and better. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time out today for me to speak to you. It's been really cool.
Thank you.
Chatting to you, and enjoy your show. I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, you sticking around, you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely.
Definitely sticking around. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.